All right, y'all. Find a comfortable seat. We'll take a couple of rounds of our slow breath and then we'll stand on up. So let's take a normal breath in and a normal breath back out. Good. And this time as you inhale, go through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then open mouth, exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job, y'all. We'll stand on up. Get some moon squats going. Remember, you guys, this is a great opportunity to put something underneath your heels. I'm going to demo that tonight. So you can roll up a yoga mat, or if you have a fancy wedge block like Patty up there. So something underneath the heels is great, especially if your knees are getting a little cranky. So let's go for it. So on your inhale, you're going to reach your arms up nice and high. And then on the exhale, bend the knees, hinge at your hips, booty back. Big fist with your hands, cross your forearms, tuck your chin to your chest, and lower your hips down towards the ground. Good, and then press into the heels and stand on up. That's it. We'll keep going here. I'm just gonna fix my camera a little bit. Good. And then come on back up. Nice, we'll press into the heels, rise up high. Good, so exhale and sit down. Good. Inhale, reach out and around, spread through your fingers, arms way back. Good. Squat down. Nice. One more in this set here. Maybe a little bit of a back bend at the top. Nice. And then this time when you lower down to the bottom, pause, put your hands on the floor, and then shake your head out yes and no a couple times. Good. Nice, and if it feels accessible and like you want to, maybe you'll separate your heels slightly. And then we'll get back up. Next set, inhale to rise up. Arms out, maybe you're finding a little deeper back bend in the second set. Making those fists with your hands. Remember to alternate which arm is on top, squatting nice and low. Good, inhale to stand up. Arms fan out. And then exhale to squat down. Good, so it's looking for a big chest opener too. So as you reach the arms around, kind of squeezing the shoulder blades together and reaching them way back and around. And then same thing as you come back down, pressing the chest forward, finding a little bit of that upper back bend. Good, we've got 2 more here. Belly button's up and in, maybe the hips press slightly forward. Weight is back in the heels, toes are light. Good, one more time in this set. Big inhale to reach up high. Good. And then squatting down on the exhale. Nice little pause here, hands to the floor. You're going to shake it out through the head a few times. Good. And then check back in with the hips and the knees. See if you want to separate the heels a little bit more. If you do, take it now. And then come back up for the last set. Ooh. Good. Nice, so starting to feel a little warmer, hopefully a little bit looser. Remember to use your glutes, press through the heels as you rise up. Hinging at the hips, booty way back. Knees as far back as you can get them. Notice if you're pressing more through one heel than the other and try to even that out. It. Okay, almost there. We got 1 more here. Take it up. Maybe pause for a little back bend at the top. Good, and then sink down. Nice, hands to the floor. Shake your head out. Awesome. All right, and then if you're up on your wedge or your mat, we'll unroll that. And then we're gonna come down to we're gonna take a thread the needle tonight. We'll take child's pose legs, but you can always change this around a little bit. So if you'd like to come to child's pose, it's toes together and knees wide apart, and then arms will reach forward. For some people, keeping the hips a little bit more lifted will be a little bit easier for the hips and the knees. So you can kind of play around with where you want your lower body to be. Upper body, right arm's gonna reach underneath your chest, kind of roll under the right shoulder. And then here's where that pillow or blanket will come in handy. Just setting something underneath the side of your head so you're not just kind of hanging in the air, your neck's not at a crooked, funny angle. Good. And then noticing left hand here. So left arm could be straight out in front of you, kind of reaching forward. That can feel really nice through the shoulders and the top of the arm. If you'd like to get a little bit more pec stretch in this left side, you could take your hand behind your lower back. Yeah, totally just options. You can try them out, see how you feel, what's kind of calling you tonight. Good. As always, you want to set up really well in this first part so that you can support yourself throughout and feel comfortable in the challenge, right? Here's our first minute. We're going to hold these thread the needles for 3 minutes on each side because it tends to get a little bit too much in the lower body after that. So little shorter holds. Remember to drop right back into that slow breathing, going in for 4, exhaling through the mouth for 8. And then we're relaxing as much as you can. So notice if there's places where you're holding on, check in with the shoulders, maybe through the jaw, the eyes, ankles and the toes. Nice slow breaths in through the nose. Exhaling back out through the mouth for 8. Remember that I'm giving you cues every minute with the bowl. That way you just kind of know where we are. Got just about a minute left on this side. Check in with your placement. If you feel like you're opened up a bit, you want to get a little bit deeper, feel free to head there. Alternatively, especially with the lower body with this one, with the knees and the hips, if you feel like you need a little bit of a break, maybe you lift the hips up a little bit higher. As we set up for the other side, I'll give you a variation to help with the hips as well. In just a moment. Keep breathing slowly in through the nose. And open mouth, exhaling for 8. That's it, you guys. Good job. So from here, we'll take a moment to come up to tabletop, taking just a break through the hips and the legs. And then a couple of options. Some cat-cows can feel really nice from there. If you'd like to straighten through the legs a few times, that can feel really nice, especially if you're feeling that in the knees or the hips. If a down dog sounds good, feel free to take that as well. Sometimes you just need that really deep leg stretch.
Okay.
Awesome. For the second side, I'm going to give you guys a demo here with Jason. In case you need a little bit less on the hips and the knees, right? If you really feel like it's impossible for you to get your hips to your heels, putting something underneath between like the quad and the hamstring here can be super helpful. If you're feeling like you don't need that, don't worry about it. If you feel like that's helpful, it can be really nice. Cool, so we'll head in on the other side when you're ready. Same thing, sometimes ankles as well. So if you're feeling like the ankles are getting a little too squished, you could do the same thing, putting something underneath the ankles there. Nice, so we'll take left arm underneath, right arm either reaches forward or comes behind the lower back. Making sure that you set up your head placement. So for many people, a blanket, a pillow underneath the head, you know, isn't like required, but feels nice, and why not make ourselves feel really nice, right? It's sinking right back into that nice slow breathing. Going in for 4. Exhaling for 8. Remember that we're relaxing through the body, letting go of any extra energy, any extra effort, coupling that with our slow breathing to help relax the nervous system, and then move the stretching into the fascia, that kind of saran wrap that covers all those connective tissues, muscles, and bones in your body. Just 1 more minute here. Settling in, maybe the knees scooch slightly farther apart. Maybe you wiggle that left arm a little bit farther underneath the chest. Maybe you stay exactly where you are. Maybe you back out slightly. Remember that we're looking for about 7 out of 10 intensity. You definitely want to feel it. You also don't want to feel like anything's going to break off or you're causing any kind of injury to yourself. Great work, everybody. Nice and slow. Start to lift back out, or take your time as you come out. Good, and we'll come into some of those counter movements again. So if you like to straighten one leg at a time behind you, or maybe a down dog, that can feel nice on the shoulders. Or maybe you just kind of stand up on the knees, circle up with the arms, press your hips forward a few times, open the hips a bit. All kinds of things we can do, right? Beautiful. Good. All right, let's open up this front body a little bit. Grab your block and possibly a blanket. We're gonna do a block bridge. So we'll put the block underneath the sacrum. There's lots of ways to do this. The nicest way to do it is to have a block with something soft on top. So if you have a blanket, it's kind of drape over the top. That's the nicest. It does make it a little bit harder to get on it because you have to get on it and then lower down. If that's not going to work for your body, you could also start on your back. Lift your hips up and bridge, and then gently slide your block and or blanket underneath you. Good. So take a few moments here to make sure that your block's in the right spot. So you're looking for the flat part of your spine, right around the tailbone, just slightly above it. You know where the SI joints are, just below those SI joints, if you know where those are. And then once you find it, you can either keep your legs bent, or if it's accessible for you to do so, straighten through the legs. Good. And then as you straighten the legs, you might find you need to slightly adjust. You're looking to find a stretch somewhere from the quads, maybe tops of the quads, psoas, and then into the belly. So you might even feel some in the core. And then once you're ready there, you can take your arms high overhead. And you might get a nice deep stretch through the chest and the underarms as well. Thanks, you guys. So a little bit more passive in this stretch. See if you can notice now if there are any places where you're holding that extra tension, and just let it all go. We'll take a full 5-minute hold in this pose tonight. Okay, continuing to breathe slowly in for 4. Exhaling for 8. Welcome to move the arms. There's a better spot for you. You just rest the arms on your belly. You don't have to do the deep stretching with the shoulders. Really focusing that deep stretching here right around those hips. So slightly below or slightly above. Relaxing your gaze, making sure that your gaze is straight up towards the ceiling. You might close your eyes, keeping the head from rolling side to side to help keep the neck protected. If both legs straightened at the same time is too much, you can always do one leg at a time as well. And so we're a little over halfway here, so check in with that intensity level. And just notice if you feel like you're right where you want to be. If you're too high, right, which might happen in the longer holds here, you can flip your block down to the lower setting or even remove the block and use a blanket or pillow instead. Or you might need a little bit more. It's nice with the block because you've got those options. You can always adjust that as well. Okay. And then see if you can relax a little bit more for this last minute. At least sinking into the block, letting the legs relax, and the shoulders, the head. Feeling that area in the front part of your hips lengthen, slowly, gently. There we go. Take another deep breath in. Slow breath back out. As you begin to straighten your legs. Bend your legs, thank you. Not straight. And then once you've got your heels underneath your knees, gently press into the heels, lifting your hips up so that you can slide the block out from underneath you. If that doesn't work for your body, you can also very carefully roll to the side. And then we'll meet back on your back. Yeah, and then find some movement here. You can hug your knees in, you kick your legs up, you can sway side to side. And that happy baby here is a great idea as well. Usually we just want some level of kind of pulling the knees in. And then let's, keeping your knees bent, place your feet back on the floor. And then let your knees be at least hip width distance apart, maybe even as wide as your mat. And we'll take a few windshield wipers here. We'll go side to side. Good. And then the next time your knees are to the right, let them stay. And if you'd like to prop up one or both of those knees, feel free to. Like I'm gonna need a little bit underneath my left knee. So moving into this kind of gentle twist variation. You can take arms out like a cactus, arms out like a T. Again, arms maybe overhead. You might even bend your elbows with your arms overhead like you're making a box, stacking your forearms.
Shoulders on the floor, right? Not lifted up, both shoulders?
As much as you can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay if they lift. But check in with your hips. So for some people, this variation is not quite intense enough. If this is intense enough for you, please stay here. If it's not quite intense enough for you, you could pick up your right foot and settle it onto the left quad. It's kind of on the side of the quad. And then gently let that leg pull the knee slightly down. Good. If you're doing this variation, please pay special attention to the bottom knee, so the left knee in this case, making sure that it feels okay with that. If that knee is hanging in the air, that left knee is hanging in the air, definitely want to prop it up before you put your foot on it if you're going that direction. Looks great, you guys. We're gonna hold this one for a nice full 5 minutes. We're at the 2-minute mark. I missed that, ding. Settling back into that slow breath. Moving in for 4. Exhaling for 8. Take a moment here to scrunch up your face. Maybe squeeze your eyes really tight, scrunch up your nose, purse your lips together. Take a breath in. On your exhale, widen through the eyes, open your mouth, maybe stick your tongue out. And relax the face. You're noticing that your shoulders are tight, just a gentle sway side to side with your head a few times. For the last minute, let's see how relaxed you can get. Good. Slowly, if the right leg's on top, the left knee, gently remove that. Ooh, taking your time, we'll take feet back to the floor, knees up, and we'll just take those same windshield wipers side to side a few times. Just noticing how it feels on one side versus the other, right? You might really feel that left side as it's stretched. Notice your range of motion, one side to the other. Good, and then next time your knees are to the left, we'll keep them to the left. And then notice here, if you want to put something underneath one or both knees. Good. If you stick your left knee up, maybe you try, or your left foot rather, onto the right knee. Maybe you want to try that on this side. Totally just an option, right? Not necessary. If you want it, take it. Okay, diving back into slow breathing. In for 4. Exhaling for 8. Letting go through the shoulders and the neck. Feeling the belly relax. You're noticing that your mind is wandering. Try to focus on a physical sensation or feeling or sound. Maybe you're feeling the rise and fall of your breath. So on the inhale, your belly lifts, your lungs fill with air, your chest lifts. And on the exhale, the chest falls and the belly falls. Just noticing that slow rhythm. That's it, taking a breath in. A slow breath out as you begin to move slowly. We'll take a few side to side windshield wipers here. We're really noticing the range of motion now. That's amazing. Hopefully you guys are feeling it like I am. And then let's hug your knees into your chest. Take a few kind of circles. You might circle the knees independently, or maybe you circle as one. And then we'll take just a moment here to take your hands behind the knees. A gentle rock and roll motion up to a seat just for a moment. We're going to set up for a reclined butterfly pose. So grab onto your strap. We'll get bound up. So with this strap, you'll take it behind your lower back and then on top of your thighs. And then around your feet. Really important here that the metal part isn't sitting underneath your feet. That gets quite uncomfortable as you hold. So we'll take the end of your strap, putting it through both metal pieces, skipping the first one, and then coming back through in just a second. So reclined butterfly tonight means you'll probably want your feet fairly close to you, although not as close as you can possibly get them because that'll be too tight for the strap as you lower down. And then before you lay down, just make sure that your clips or whatever your strap has is just kind of easily in reach in case you need to adjust once you lower back. Cool. When you're ready to head in, just slowly lower elbow, and then all the way down onto the back. Okay, so then once you're down, you might want to tighten up or loosen. Giving your feet exactly where you want them. Right, so that last twist did a lot of the internal rotation. So working a lot on the outsides of the hips. This time we're getting a lot of that lateral rotation, the inside of the thighs here. Nice. Once again, we'll set up for a nice full 5 whole minutes. A couple of options as you're getting settled in here. If it feels like having your knees just kind of falling in space is a little too much for them to handle, just like Jason did here, putting a couple of blocks underneath the outside edges of your thighs, it's just a really nice way to give them kind of like a break. You know, these are your breaks. And throughout the hold, you can gently push them slightly out as your hips are opening up. It's a nice option there if you want it. Okay, from there, just finding a comfortable position to rest the hands in. Maybe they're overhead. Maybe you just take one hand to heart, one to belly. Maybe they just rest by your sides. Sinking into a slow, relaxed breath. In for 4. Exhaling for 8. It's a great time to take a short scan through the body. Start up at the top of your head. And as you slowly move down to your eyes and your jaw and your tongue, settle in those places where you notice a little tension or energy or sensation. And see if you can lighten it slightly. So just letting go even a little bit. And moving your awareness down to neck and shoulders. Pausing again, searching for those places and letting go. Noticing hands and fingers, wrists, elbows, tops of the arms. Noticing the belly and the lower back. Even down into the hips. And make it to the hips here. Add for a moment a little bit of tension. Maybe squeeze through the quads and then slightly bring the knees together. Take a breath in. And then the exhale, release and see if that lets you get just a little bit deeper into the pose, but also eases away any tension. Moving down into the knees, the calves. Into the ankles, feet, and toes. With this heightened awareness and sense of ease, we'll sink into this last little bit, following the breath. In for 4, out for 8. Taking one more breath in. Slow exhale back out. A couple ways to get out of this. If it's possible for you to loosen your strap, that's the easiest way to give you a bit more slack to get out. If that's not possible, walk your heels in a bit closer so you can wiggle your toes out. And then eventually bringing knees a bit closer to the chest. Okay, so stand back for a moment and pulling the knees together, circling out a few times. And let's plant the knees once again, or plant the feet rather, and we'll let knees go side to side. So tonight we really worked a lot on these rotational movements through the hips. So after we're done in class tonight, when you get up, just being really mindful of how you move, especially if you need to walk up or down stairs. Might feel really a little unstable in the hips because that's the intention, right? We created a little laxity in the joints. So just a heads up. All right, we're gonna make our way into a tantrum asana here. So we'll go legs up, arms up. Let's kick and flail a bit. So throw in a tantrum. Okay, remember you can also slap or kick the floor, making as much or as little noise as you like or is appropriate for where you are. Good, here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, letting it go. And then we'll take just a few moments here to set up for meditation. So making any adjustments, grabbing socks or a blanket. Or maybe eye pillows if you've got an eye pillow. Get it. So tonight's meditation is called Inner Wisdom. Tonight we'll be exploring how to brighten the light of our own internal wisdom. To start, we'll rest your hands and gently close your eyes, softening through the eyes, the forehead, and the temples. Letting any tension in the mouth and the jaw just melt away. And then extend that relaxed sensation down through your neck, your shoulders, your arms and torso. Now focus your attention on your chest, filling your lungs up with air, and then letting go, letting go, letting go. Hold your attention on the breath. Natural breath. Breathing in and sighing the breath out slowly. Notice your ribs and lungs expand as you breathe in. Feel them releasing and settling as you breathe out. Feel your rib cage spreading out and widening on the inhales. And then softening, almost melting on the exhales. And if you like, you can try counting the breath. So breathe all the way in and all the way out, and count 1. And then again, breathe all the way in, all the way out, count 2. Count all the way up to 10, and then start again. Distractions will likely pull on your attention. Don't worry when this happens. Each time you notice you're pulled away from the breath, notice the pull and simply come back. No judgments, no frustration. Simply return to the sensation of breath. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. And count 1. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. And now gently relax your attention, feeling yourself centered. A few weeks ago, I listened to a Dharma talk given by a meditation instructor named Stephen Smith. He shared the story of a friend of his named Mala Domasoma from West Africa. And I'd like to recount that story now. Mala Domasoma was born in a tribal village, yet he ended up pursuing a distinguished education far away at Oxford and later Harvard. As he grew older, he began to struggle in his life because he didn't really know who he was or where he came from. So one day, he had the idea to go back and explore his ancestry and his roots. He packed his bags and flew back to West Africa, where he arrived at his tribal village. The elders welcomed him back and took him in so he could explore his lineage. And it was a struggle at first because he had totally lost that connection. In the evening, he would sit with the elders in the near darkness, trying to receive their teachings. He would keep on turning up his lantern to see them better. He kept turning it up, and one night, one of the elders asked him, "Why are you turning up the lantern?" He responded by saying, "So I can see better." And the elder explained, turning up the light doesn't always help us see better, because often what we see, we want to see, or what we feel pressured to see. Sometimes we actually need to dim the lights down so we can turn our attention inward into the silence, away from the brightness of concept and stimulus, towards the soft, dim, internal light where truth can be found. And the week after hearing this story, a friend of mine headed off to a silent meditation retreat. She shared that the rules and customs of these retreats are taken very seriously. There's no conversation or technology, no interacting with other people whatsoever. You walk in silence, eat alone, and meditate for hours. The rooms are simple, and there are no books or screens to occupy our attention. So this all supports us to do the work of going inward. My friend shared that she experienced this rare opportunity to sit within herself and really listen. And it's there that she learned the most about herself. Her beliefs and patterns and ego became magnified. She gained deeper clarity into what she needed to let go of and what she needed to step into. And it's there that her most innovative ideas were born. As Ram Dass says, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. So my invitation today is this. On those days when clarity evades you, in those moments when the noise of life feels amplified, when you're straining your attention and frustration, looking outward for answers, instead of turning up the lantern, find yourself a seat and dim the lights. Breathe, go inward, and just listen. Let's take one more deep breath in. And a slow breath back out as you begin to wiggle toes and fingers, bringing your attention back into the room. And let's take hands together at your heart. The light in me honors, bows, and surrenders to the light within each of you. Namaste.